Enoch Powell, A Vision of Division. Enoch Powell was not merely a politician, he was a symbol of a deeply divided Britain. A brilliant academic, classical scholar, and war hero, Powell rose to become one of the most controversial figures in British political history. His legacy is most often tied to his infamous Rivers of Blood speech, but his influence went far beyond that one moment. In Powell, Britain saw a man unafraid to voice the anxieties of a changing nation, no matter the cost. Born in 1912 in Birmingham, Powell was a child prodigy who excelled in classical languages. By his early 20s, he had become one of the youngest professors of Greek in the British Empire, teaching at Sydney University. He returned to Britain to serve in World War II, rising through the ranks to become the youngest brigadier in the British Army. His brilliance was undeniable, his discipline ironclad, and his ambitions towering. After the war, Powell entered politics as a conservative MP in 1950. He quickly established a reputation as an intellectual powerhouse, articulate, principled, and fiercely independent. Powell was known for mastering policy details and delivering eloquent, often poetic speeches in the House of Commons. He stood out in a political system filled with pragmatists. He was a philosopher among tacticians. During the 1950s and early 60s, Powell held various government posts, including Minister of Health. There, he expanded the NHS workforce and supported immigration, policies that would later seem starkly at odds with his more famous positions. But even then, Powell was uneasy about Britain's trajectory, especially concerning sovereignty, identity, and mass immigration. Everything changed on April 20, 1968. Speaking to a conservative meeting in Birmingham, Powell delivered what would become known as the Rivers of Blood speech. He warned that unchecked immigration would lead to cultural disintegration and social unrest. The speech invoked imagery of civil war, doom, and irreversible transformation. Britain, Powell believed, was mad, literally mad for allowing such demographic shifts. The reaction was explosive. Powell was immediately dismissed from the shadow cabinet by conservative leader Edward Heath. Publicly, he was condemned by most politicians and the press. But privately, and among the public, he received tens of thousands of letters of support. Polls showed overwhelming agreement with his views. Powell had tapped into a growing anxiety that mainstream politicians were unwilling to address. In the years that followed, Powell became both martyr and menace. To many working-class Britons, he was a truth-teller, a man of conviction in an era of political blandness. To others, he was a xenophobe who legitimized racial prejudice. He left the Conservative Party in 1974 and spent his final political years in the Ulster Unionist Party, representing Northern Ireland in Parliament. Powell's views were not limited to immigration. He was a fierce critic of Britain's entry into the European Economic Community, warning that it would erode national sovereignty. He championed the idea of British independence long before Brexit became a national debate. In this way, Powell's ideas lingered in British politics long after his voice faded from Parliament. Despite the controversy, he remained unapologetic. He believed history would vindicate him, that future generations would look back and see that he had the courage to speak a difficult truth. Whether or not that belief holds depends largely on one's politics, but it's clear that Powell changed the conversation in Britain forever. Enoch Powell died in 1998 at the age of 85. Even in death, his name stirred debate. He was revered and reviled, quoted and condemned. But more than anything, he forced Britain to confront itself, its fears, its values, and its vision for the future. And that, perhaps, is the mark of a true political force.